Have you ever seen a viral list of top productivity tips? Well, there's thousands out there and most of them don't actually help. Why is this the case? It's because they're useless. They're written by people who just pulled it out of their butts, and these people don't have any credibility. In this video, I will share with you my own list of the top 10 things you can do to increase your productivity that will actually help, because they're based on people who are very, very successful, who have given these tips in detail in very well-known books. Primarily, it would be based off Jason Fried, who runs a very successful company called 37 Signals, multi-million-dollar company, and has written a very well-known book called Rework that is very well known in the business world. So let's begin. And no, I'm not some type of hipster. I'm trying out this new thing with the scarf. So let's get started. Oh yeah, and stay until the end of this video because I'm going to give you a exclusive free gift. In fact, 2 free gifts. You don't want to miss these freebies. So let's get started. Number 1, you have to eliminate procrastination, not procrastination. Procrastination. So in order to do this, the first thing you have to remove are long lists and long goals. Things that take you way too long. When's the last time you have done the 99th item on a to-do list with 100 items? Probably never. So stop with the super long lists and the super long things you have to do. As far as procrastination in and of itself, that's a video for another day because that goes on and on. But you have to start zeroing in on the things that you can do in small increments and work on those, because those, you can't procrastinate on them if it takes you 2 seconds to do them. Small goals. Second thing, stop with the meetings. Now, business folk out there, you know that the standard in the business world is to keep going to meetings. But according to people like Jason Fried and Warren Buffett, there's a reason why they have no meetings and little meetings. You can look this up if you don't believe me. There have been plenty of interviews of both of these people talking about this stuff. Meetings waste time for like 50 different reasons. First off, it's easy to ramble. Second off, it's unproductive. Third off, you're not just wasting your time, you're wasting all the other people you bring on board. So it's not 1 hour of time that you now have to pay for. You have to pay for all these employees. That's 10 hours of work time that you now have to pay for. And guess what? Meetings, oftentimes the agenda gets convoluted and you don't know what's going on. So if you must have a meeting, I don't encourage it. But if you must, only bring on the people that need to be brought on. And then second, have a clear agenda and objective and a timer so it doesn't drag on. Next thing, number 3, stop being a perfectionist. It's never gonna be, put out there if you're paralyzed. So many people don't put out anything because they spend years paralyzed with it being perfect. How is your art ever going to succeed if you never put it out in the first place? So the second thing is that if you put it out, you can always improve on it later on. So realize that it's very important to at least get it out in the first place. That way you won't have to be, scared that it's incomplete and paralyzed like many people are for many years because they don't put it out. Number 4, use short time sensitive measurable variables, also known as STSMVs. What this basically means are goals that take maybe a day or an hour or 5 minutes to complete. So the difference is that with these goals, you can measure them and you can get them done rather than something that takes 2 years. If it's so far out in the future, guess what? You're not going to accomplish it because it just drags on and you're not motivated and driven in the same way you are when you accomplish these quick goals and you see yourself accomplishing them. That motivates you and drives you to keep going. The next thing, number 5, you are bad at estimating. So get to a point where you realize that things will take longer than they should. there's countless examples of people who do this wrong from everyday life. They think that cutting the grass will take 2 hours. It takes 30 minutes. Sometimes they go to an interview. They think it'll take them 30 minutes. It takes them 5 hours because of traffic and all sorts of other stuff. So we are drastically screwed over with underestimating or overestimating how we do things. So put in extra time for how long it takes to get something done. Number 6, use concrete things to illustrate your examples. Guess what? There's tons of misunderstandings in the workplace, in your business. In fact, there's this great book. It's the number one favorite book of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. It's called Business Adventures. And there's this chapter in it called The Impacted Philosophers. And long story short, it's about this incredible company that's still around called General Electric. It's one of the biggest companies ever, even to this day. And it was founded by the great Thomas Edison, but blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's get to the point. They had tremendous misunderstandings based off the simplest sentences because they weren't clear about it. So the same thing happens in your workplace, you know. Small things like diagrams and sentences and emails and reports get misinterpreted, and then you're left with unexpected results. So be more concrete. Use tangible things. Clay. There's a reason why Alaska Airlines used cardboard boxes to construct the mock airport rather than, you know, just talking about it. So be concrete with your stuff. Number 7. Seventh thing you can do is work on getting things done with checklists. This goes back into the book, The Checklist Manifesto. And the book is just, it blows my mind. But it shows a lot of statistics in the book about how people did things before checklists and then how they did it after checklists. And it's just incredible. So check out the book because the whole book is on statistics, like doctors who use checklists, and then their percentage of life saves went up incredibly. And then they go through all sorts of different jobs and occupations, engineering, carpentering, and so forth. And the reason why this works is because, you know, especially for intricate stuff, you know, doctors, they think they're so much smarter and they got everything. But because you have to juggle so many things, the simplest things get overlooked. And that's why checklists are so critical to your success. Use checklists. I've started implementing them and I've seen incredible results from them. So that was number 7. Number 8. The 8th thing you can do is meditate. Now, this may seem like counterintuitive, but this is actually one of my secret sauces. And I go into a lot more detail on it on my blog, on my website, and other videos. But long story short, this is my secret sauce. And honestly, this is something I should charge for, but probably not. I don't know. I'm giving away for free. I've studied tons of super successful people. And after studying hundreds, if not thousands, I found very eerie things that they do. And this was shocking because a lot of mainstream celebrities, actors, Robert Downey Jr., all sort of Western people are using this Eastern practice. And I'm just like, that guy's doing meditation too. So this is one of those eerie things that a large, surprising amount of people do. So it's kind of weird, but I mean, there's a reason why billionaire Ray Dalio and all sorts of other people attribute it as the number one factor for their success. Throw out your list. So what this means is when you have a list of 10 things, that's good. That's better than a list of 20 things. But throw out number 3 all the way to number 10. And this really helps you focus on that one thing or 2 things. And in reality, the biggest distraction is not the third thing. It's not the 33rd thing on your to-do list. It's the 4th thing, the 3rd thing, the 5th thing. So those are the biggest distractions from your number one goal in life. So focus on throwing those out and focus on one thing. Focus, focus, focus. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they were interviewed by Bill Gates' father, and he asked, what's the number one secret to your success? Long story short, they both thought about it for a long time and talked, and then they both decided on the same thing. There's plenty of interviews of this online. Search it up, and if you still don't believe me and you still think it's not out there, you can pay me $1,000 and I'll find you the video source. The point is, after they debated about it for a long time, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett agreed that their number one thing was focus. That was what attributed to their success. Number 9, the ninth thing you can do is called the Eisenhower Matrix. It's by President Eisenhower, who was one of the most productive presidents of our time. So it's very simple. There's 4 buckets, and it's a matrix. And essentially, you can categorize every little thing you do into each of these 4 buckets. Important and urgent, important and not urgent, urgent but not important, and not important and not urgent. And now the bottom 2 you kind of just want to throw out after you've put them in there. So it really kind of crystallizes what things are not worth your time. So if it's unimportant, period, don't do it. So this really crystallizes things because you're doing stuff all the time you think are important but are not. And the top 2 are things you should do. And you want to start with the important and urgent. In fact, for me personally, I just throw out the important and not urgent as well, because I just want to do what I can, focus on that one thing, and get it done. There's this great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller that talks all about this. And trust me on this, I mapped out every minute of my day for an entire week a few years ago, and the results were shocking. I found that I was wasting up to 60% of my time on unproductive tasks, and I thought I was doing fairly well. I thought I was being 80% productive. Turns out it was completely false. So you can imagine how the average person is in terms of productivity. Number 10, this is another incredible one. You want to find your state of flow. And there's this great book called Flow. It's about going into your state of flow and amazingness. And again, if you're like, oh my goodness, there's so many books for me to read, this is one that you can put on like the back burner. The other ones are probably higher priority. But it's about just being in your state of flow and how this is the state that most of your success comes by. So essentially, in order to create flow, you have to eliminate what I call start-stop techniques or start-stop situations, because these things cut your flow, and then getting back into it and all sorts of other stuff really screw you over. For instance, let's say you're at your desk and your coworker comes in, taps you on the shoulder, and then now you've taken 30 seconds to stop doing what you're doing. Then you have to talk to this guy, and then he might lead you down to a rabbit hole of other distractions, and all sorts of unexpected things happen in between. So when you just look at something like a lunch break, or a quick chat in between, or all sorts of little things, there's all sorts of areas in between those little things that add up even more to tons of time wasters. So for instance, you just stop to go get coffee. Along the way, you meet someone who wants to do a dance for you for $10 or $1 because he's a homeless guy. Now you've wasted another 2 minutes, and then getting back into your office and settling down, that's another 2 minutes. So again, remove interruptions. Your cell phone, Facebook, all those things. And that doesn't mean be a Nazi about it, because guess what? There's certain moments where you can just relax and chill, because people need time to recharge and do something that they enjoy. But when you're in that state of flow, you can't let people interrupt you. So those are my 10 things, and now for the freebies, the free gifts. So if you want a detailed explanation of all this with diagrams, infographics, or if you want my top 10 business books and a elaborated description of why they're important and why they're so incredible, and useful to your success, you can get this all by texting the word free books with no spaces, that's FREEBOOKS, to the number 44222. That's 44222. And I'll send it over via text message to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.